Yep, you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes.
And is Ann Smith there?
Ann Smith is there.
Ann Smith is present.
I just didn't see her. All right, well, uh,
So are we ready to begin?
yeah, we're ready to go, and I will let, because I'm sort of in quarantine, I will let Ms. Smith manage the meeting and the agenda about uh moratorium I will speak on.
Okay. Um, this is the June 12th meeting of the Board of Health. The meeting is being audio and visually recorded. I want to start by asking if there's any public comment that anyone would like to bring up at this time. No? Okay. Let's move on then to the third item on the agenda, which is the approval of minutes. Does anyone?
There were two errors under the 13 Woodlands, lot 5 and lot 6, that they mentioned to be continued to the May meeting. It should
Oh.
have continued to the June meeting.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay,
it's really minor, but to be accurate,
yeah.
that was the only thing, right? So
Does anyone else have any things? No? So I guess we can approve them with Carrie's corrections.
Do you motion to approve them with various corrections?
and I second that motion.
Okay,
Maybe do a roll call.
we need a roll call by person.
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Ann, yes. Malcolm,
Hi.
hey. Minutes are approved. Number 4, should we go to that now, Malcolm? That is the discussion of potential moratorium.
Is that the next agenda item?
It is.
Yes, and I will speak on this. Excuse me. And this is going to be a request to the board for a temporary moratorium on the review of nitrogen loading variances. And let me explain why I'm requesting this. The Board of Health has traditionally granted nitrogen loading variances to allow for more bedrooms in property when an alternate design septic system is installed. An IA system is generally considered more efficient and better for the environment than a conventional system. Recently, it has been suggested that increasing the number of bedrooms on a property can be more detrimental to the health and environment of the island, and that the benefits of an IA system do not sufficiently offset that harm. Remember this, we have to look at everything individually, but that's a general statement. Since the board adopted its IA system regulations several years ago, there have been new developments in IA system technology and scientific research concerning their effectiveness. The health director has contacted officials from Barnstable County who have studied the issue, and they have offered to come to the island to present their findings at a future Board of Health meeting. And of course, other interested parties and experts are welcome and will be invited to attend. Although we are obligated to consider each variance application on its own individual merits, I believe that it is in the public interest to impose a temporary moratorium for the purpose of enabling the board to review the necessary information and scientific developments so that we can make fully informed decisions. I therefore move that the board vote to adopt a temporary moratorium of suggested 6 months on consider variance applications for new construction if they propose using an IA system to accommodate more bedrooms then can be accommodated without a variance so that the board can study the issue and make better informed decisions on such applications. But that is moratorium shall not apply to applications to replace or upgrade failed systems as long as there is no increase in flow, and it will not apply to applications that do not require variances. I've made a motion, but I think we should discuss it further.
That's right. I think we need, is there any discussion on Malcolm's motion?
I think it's a great idea, because I think that the net benefit for the environment is what is constantly brought up, but I think you also have to look at multiple issues and the net benefit of, or the effect of 2 more people, and 2 more people is not a lot of people, but when you figure, I don't even know how many of these we've approved, that's 2 more people per every bedroom. The pressure on our hospital, on our fire department, on our roads, I mean, on our water, which we already know we're paying millions of dollars for something to, for a filtration system for the PFAS because we're concerned about this plume that we cannot control and it being pulled up in the summer months because of increased pressure on our aquifer. I think that it's not just about, there's not just one thing to look at. So I think that it's a really good idea.
And, I support the idea of a moratorium also. And I know that, nitrogen loading is a critical concern. But in human waste is more than just nitrogen. And I know that Barnstable County has done, they have a group that's been working with IA systems and looking at alternative IA systems. So not just the ones like the microfast and those, but like the wood chip ones and that are looking at that, which, and some of those may have a economic benefit to people in terms of having those installed. But also I'm, kind of concerned about what is in the stream and what is being controlled by the IA systems we're using and what's not being controlled. Because that, microplastics, all that we have, all these other environmental invasions, I guess, for lack of a better term, that are becoming part of the stream. And that's ultimately, if we don't account for them or have some way of controlling them, they end up in our drinking water. And so, time to really sit back and assess, is the path we're on, which is always approving an extra bedroom for that IA benefit, the best path, or are there other paths we should be looking at? And also, if we do continue in that path, what is it? Whether there's pros and there's cons. I would like to know really both scientifically. As to what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages? So, I do support the idea of just taking time to stop, get information. And I want to also from people on island, they work all different engineers and all the people. What is best for the island in the long run? Instead of looking at house by house, in the big picture, what's going to be best for the island? Because we only have one drinking water supply, and kind of important.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that we don't know what we don't know. And we I don't think we have enough information at this point to be making the decisions that we're being asked to make. And I think that would be, for me, the reason for the moratorium, to gather more evidence-based information from experts that really know a great deal about this and could instruct us, and then we would be able to make better decisions, hopefully. The idea of the 6 months is the only thing that I question. Is that too long? Malcolm said 6 months, and I don't know if that's seems realistic or if that seems like it's too long a time. What do you guys think about that?
Malcolm, when you talked to Barnstable, did they give it a time frame of when they would be able to come over, or was that kind of up to us?
I didn't, but I think Rocky said July.
That's what we've been talking to them about, and I think they've also shared some information separately, which was distributed to the board. That's along the lines of the types of information and data that you're all requesting.
So, I mean, legally, we have to put a time limit on it. It has to be considered a reasonable time limit. Obviously, 1 month is not enough. The question is 90 days too long. If we meet in July, if you hold a public hearing, then we have to give 7 weeks notice, so we have to do that now. And we could do the July meeting. And then we would have afterwards a couple of weeks to sort it out. You could go to 90 days if you want to, but I think also in fairness to all these people that want to move on with their projects, it's a significant delay for them.
Well, that's right. Maybe I misheard, but I thought I heard you say 6 months.
No.
Didn't you
Oh,
hear say 6 months?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said 6 months, Malcolm. That's what
Oh. Well, I'm sorry,
I think 90 days is fair.
yeah, I think I went more at like 60 days. I think 90 days. I'm sorry, I did not mean 6 months.
Okay.
I'm present. I'm a statistic now, so you have to bear with me a little bit.
Okay, then. Can we approve the moratorium with a deadline of 90 days?
90 days or, I think that brings to.
July, August, September. Right.
I mean, 90, I would hope that 90 days would be enough time for us to kind of wrap our heads around it.
Well, suppose it's not,
get it.
can we get an extension?
Yeah, but that would, again, we don't want to also be blocking things that should be going forward.
That's
So, I
right.
mean,
Absolutely.
that balance of just getting new information, because we're always going to be faced with the questions of variances, and we want to start kind of having better set of ground rules to work from. And I want to believe that those ground rules are really based on the full scale of data in terms of, what is in the septic system, what is in our waste stream, and what is going where. Not just nitrogen. So,
My opinion, now that my head is functioning again, is 90 days. We're not going to learn much more after 90 days. And we're probably going to hear multiple opinions. And we may not find a clean opinion, but we're going to have to make a judgment based on what information we have. And I think we owe it to the island that we just don't continue going on as we are without really sitting down and deciding what is the appropriate information. And then we can make, I think, more rational decisions. Not that we haven't before. Remember, the fact is we made these decisions. We made them based on the information we had. But I think we have to be fair and go forward.
Could I just make one suggestion? Could it be like 97 days or 100 days? Just because we're meeting a week earlier than we normally would. So
Oh,
that would
yes.
bring us to our September, I guess I'm saying it to bring us to our September meeting. Versus we would have the meeting with Barnstable in July, hopefully, and then we'd have our August meeting and this would expire before our September meeting.
I agree. It should be the September meeting.
so can we say the moratorium until September 18th?
Is that the date?
That's the
That's
third Thursday of
okay.
September. So if we,
I think
rather than
that
say
makes
number of
sense.
days, say a specific date, which would be our meeting, third meeting, meeting in the third week of September, September 18th.
I have a hand up.
Yes, I see that. Go ahead.
You're
Hi,
up,
this
Chris.
is Christy Ferrantella. I just had a clarifying question. Would this go into effect immediately, or would people who've already submitted applications be reviewed?
I can answer that. No, it would go in immediately, but once an application is submitted, we have legally 45 days to make a decision on it. So those applications that have already been submitted, we have to review.
Okay,
If,
thank you.
if in fact we were, just theoretically, I have a sense that this will pass. So theoretically, if one of those applications we denied, we could deny it without prejudice, and they would have an opportunity to resubmit it later. But that's, who knows? I'm just giving you the legalese.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The applications we have to deal with.
Okay.
Make a
Can
motion.
you, would you be willing to restate it, Malcolm, and not the whole thing you wrote, but your motion?
Sure. I just want to get it correct for the record. I move that the board vote to adopt a temporary moratorium of 90 days on considering variance applications for new construction if they propose using an IA system to accommodate more bedrooms than can be accommodated without a variance, so that the board can study the issue and make better informed decisions on such applications. But this moratorium shall not apply to applications to replace or upgrade failed systems as long as there is no increase in flow, and it will not apply to applications that do not require variances.
Malcolm, I think you said, September 18th, not 90 days.
Madam, I will amend that to September 18th.
Okay,
I second that.
all right, all in favor?
Roll call.
Malcolm,
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And aye. Passes unanimously with one absence. One board member is absent. Okay. Number 5 is Nantucket by water.
Yeah.
A variance from the base of operation.
Believe so. If you would like to, yep, speak.
Actually, if you could come to the table,
Yeah.
that we can pick you up on the microphone here.
Am I supposed to face all of you?
Yeah, we'll face you.
We're not the jury, don't worry.
That way.
We're not threatening.
I've never been to a meeting like this. My name is Rachel Perkins. I just wanted to give a little background on myself. Before I begin here, I moved to Nantucket in 1984. I have 3 children that were born and raised on Nantucket. And in 1998, I founded a boat excursion company. Now my 3 adult children all work for me. I have 9 excursions. One of them is called the Ice Cream Cruise, which I took over from Bruce and Carol Powen from the Anna W. When I took it over, they were scooping their ice cream at Stars ice cream store, walking across the wharf with a tray that had holes in it, and all the cones were in there, drip, drip. And I thought, well, that's not going to work for me for a lot of different reasons. And so I put a freezer on the wharf and started getting bars and popsicles. And it's just a little an offering. So I don't sell the ice cream, no one buys it. It's just something to keep the kids entertained so that parents can have an hour the cruise and hopefully relax a little bit. And I didn't know that I was in any violation, so I apologize for that. And I want to keep offering these tours. I give about 1,400 ice creams out a season, which is in a 5-month season, it's about 10 ice creams a day. Mostly from now until Labor Day is the crux, but it is about 1,400. And so I'm here to continue with operation.
Yeah, so I can offer some comments if you'd like, Madam
Yes,
Chair.
please, Jim.
So this was kind of all discovered. An inspector was down in that area inspecting a different restaurant and noticed that there was an advertisement that they go meet oysters out in the harbor and everything. So that kind of oysters draw kind of our attention right off the bat. And also that the boat offers ice cream. So since it's commercially prepackaged frozen ice cream. And since it's a temperature controlled product, it's required to be permitted. That's what it is in the food code. It's technically defined as a food establishment. So we were in contact with them and explained that and everything. We do see it as a very minimal risk type of operation. Again, it's just commercially prepackaged frozen desserts, which they buy at the Stop and Shop, which you would consider an approved food source. They hand them to the people that go out on the boat, and the freezer's on the dock.
About 12 feet from the boat, and I buy the ice cream every morning, sometimes twice a day.
Right,
To
okay. And,
discard it at the end of the day.
okay, so you
And
do
it's
just,
triple packaged.
yeah, so it's discarded at the end of
It's
the
a
day.
bar in a box that's sealed. with
Right.
Plastic,
Okay,
and I don't touch the ice cream.
right. So I guess, the other comments is minimal as this whole thing is, it's somewhat new, actually, to be honest, for us. And we've always, every establishment we permit has a base of operations where they receive food, store food. They're able to sanitize equipment. Of course, this is much smaller. We do have a van, an ice cream van, which I think you're probably familiar with, that does have a base of operation. So we're kind of initially comparing it to that. But after talking this through, and since the risk is so minimal, we think it's okay if it's just, of course, strictly limited to the commercially prepackaged frozen desserts. It's on the freezer on the dock, and the food is discarded at the end of the day. Then that would be fine. They would still be required to follow the other standards in the food code. So you'd mentioned in the letter that you submitted that you're working on Serve Safe, so that would still be required, the food protection manager. My question would be how you're sanitizing that freezer if anything happens to that.
I used to have a cleaning business, so I did in the freezer, the grout, the bleach in a toothbrush, the start of the season, middle of the season, end of the season. Freezer's immaculate.
So, again, as long as it's obviously clearly limited to that service, then we'd be fine with it. So.
I had read, the letter you had submitted, and honestly, I mean, I know that we have rules and regulations, but I mean, the system you got set up, which is Stop and Shop across the parking lot into a freezer and then consumed on the dock, seems. I think that John's statement that it seems like there's not a lot of risk involved, and I very much agree with that. I don't know how other board members feel, but I was kind of like, you're doing what you can the right way, and you're controlling all the variables as much as you can. And I think that it works. I know for me it works.
No, I agree. I feel like with all of the foodborne outbreaks, it's more likely to come from you were serving lettuce than Klondike bars.
Is there anything, do we need to We'll take a vote on this.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, it would just be a variance from the base of operations. As I said, they're still required to follow. Again, as minimal as this operation is, it still does fall under the food code and requires to be permitted, so they'd be required to follow everything in the food code as well. They would just be exempt from the base of operations, so.
Make the motion to exempt, business from the base of operation. Or. I guess we do it just 1 year at a time, is how this is all, I guess, variances last 1 year, right?
You can determine how long you want the variance to last. That's in the food code. So if you want to see how it goes for a year, that's fine. If it's 5 years, if it's in perpetuity, that's up to the board.
Yeah, it's like if the model you have is what you're always going to be doing, I mean, I'd be
That's
comfortable
what I
with a
would
year.
say.
But if the model changes for whatever reason, whether it's Stop and Shop, stop selling frozen ice cream, or that you have to come back to the board to kind of explain what the changes are, and let's go from there. But, I'm comfortable with making a motion to exempt the produce from the ice cream produced from the base of operation during the hearings for that.
I second that.
All in favor, Malcolm?
Right.
Yes? Are you saying yes?
Yes,
Okay. Carrie,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Ann, yes.
All
Okay.
right, great. Thank you.
Appreciate it. We can see you on the water.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate that.
All right, number 6 is 72 Arkansas Avenue. We've had this before. It has been postponed due to not being able to get the inspector to inspect and all that kind of stuff. So I guess,
I'm here
are you ready?
to speak about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, come on over.
and there'll be a quorum.
It's from 72 Arkansas.
Sure.
I had my inspection,
Yeah,
to
I'm
the second, I
confusing
think the
myself.
third.
Oh, right.
You'll still have
Yes. Yes, we will. Okay. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Nothing to vote on here. The board of 3 meetings ago granted me another inspection. I had failed inspection 15 years ago. And granted me another inspection, which I had on the June 2nd or June 3rd. I've failed that. I'm in the process now of getting an engineer and contractor, and I'm starting on an IA system as soon as I can get them started on. But I just wanted to thank the board for giving me another inspection. So I can,
Okay.
all right, that's all. I've got to
Thank you
say
for
on that.
telling us. Yeah,
Yep,
okay.
so you can consider my variance request, moved. Okay,
Okay, so with withdrawn, then,
yeah,
okay, thank you.
thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right. This is number 8. Which is, oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, it's number 7.
Correct.
I'm sorry, 1 Tennessee.
All set.
Yes, sir.
Don Bracken, Bracken Engineering, representing the applicants. This is a septic system upgrade. There's no new construction proposed. Had a field inspection. Looking for several of the Nantucket variances, property lines, 150-foot well setback. There's a small laundry list on the plan. Also asking for a couple of local upgrade approvals under the state regulations for an upgrade. The system is designed really in the most feasible location we could. It's going to be right up against Tennessee Ave and right up against Baltimore Street. So they're technically property lines. So we asked for those upgrades and variances. The property is served by a well right now, so we're gonna have to connect to town water. We couldn't get 100-foot separation from their own well. But we do achieve 100-foot separation from the neighboring wells. So we're not looking for any Title V variances for well setbacks. We're also asking, for upgrade approval to have it 10 feet from a crawl space foundation rather than 20 feet. And in this particular case, the top of the soil absorption system is actually below the crawl space floor elevation, so there's no threat of migration of effluent into a foundation. With that, I think that's it. Be happy to answer any questions.
Is the crawl space, moisture, have a moisture vapor barrier in it, or is it still a dirt floor?
It's probably still a dirt floor. I can't say for sure, but
Would it be beneficial to have vapor barrier? I mean, that we talk about the
yeah.
tank is lower than.
Honestly, I really don't think with the soil conditions out there, I think it's gonna primarily go straight down. I don't think that with the system is gonna cause any moisture in the basement. That's not already there. So the crawl space is probably at like elevation, 14, and the top of the system is like around elevation 13, so you can kind of visualize that,
John, and Health Department, any comments?
Yeah, I mean, so the reality is this is, I forgot about the crawl space one, but that variance, but other than that, the property line setbacks, this falls under local upgrade approval, and since it's since it's that close to the property line, it's required that they notify the abutters, and that the abutters basically have a chance to speak at the meeting, to see how they'd be, affected in this case scenario.
Well, actually, John, we don't notify abutters on this because they're street lines.
Right, yeah, right. So, I mean, that's another thing here, that no one is affected by this scenario. And the reality is it's replacing where the other old system was, and, he's put it, you always want to stay as far away from wells as you can, and this is best case scenario, so.
So they'll be switching over to town water.
Yeah, they will.
The house, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, was there any abutter, I'm assuming was there a notification of abutters, and was there any response? Do we know?
No, in this case, there's no notification because they're street lines. If we were asking for these same
Property
variances,
limits,
the property line.
Yeah,
would
okay.
notify. Yeah.
Okay,
Streets there.
so I guess we can have a motion to approve that. Is the board ready?
Yes.
Who's the Board of Health?
Yes, the Board of Health meeting, yes.
I'll make a motion. Do you want to make that
Go
motion?
ahead, Mike.
Eric?
Make a motion to approve, the variances for One Arkansas Avenue as presented.
Wrong street.
Tennessee.
Not one.
Yeah, we got a lot. It's wedged
no.
between two Arkansas.
Yeah, but.
Tennessee.
That's what it was. I wrote down what Arkansas, that's why. Tennessee, one Tennessee. As presented plans.
Okay. I'll second that. All in favor?
Roll call vote.
Roll
Yeah.
call.
Yeah, I'm about to call the roll and, yeah. Malcolm,
Yes, aye.
Meredith,
Yes.
Terry,
Yeah.
and yes, okay. There we go. Okay, this is the other Arkansas, 44 Arkansas. This is a.
This is also you.
This is also me.
Okay.
Tom Bracken representing the applicants. Credit to Sean, he found that they had to replace this field system from 2012, I think it was, so. It was approved back then, they never upgraded it, so. We're back here again, we had to update the plans with more information in the neighborhood and that sort of stuff, but, pretty much the same plan we had submitted previously. It has an existing septic tank and leaching pit, putting in a microfast system. Shallowest, subsurface system. This is unique out here, as you know, because property lines don't always jive with where the septic systems are, so. So in this case, the tank's not on the lot, but we'd like to put the tank on the lot, this room, so the tank will go on the lot, soil absorption system. Same general area as the existing pit, sort of, in that, common, septic, area. As you can see from the plan where all the other septic systems are, so we're able to wedge this one in there, be far enough away from the other septic systems. So we did notify the abutter to the east, because the septic tank is not, it's 7.3 feet rather than 10 feet. So we do have a green card from them, so, they're aware of what's going on. And then we did, achieve the 150-foot separation from most wells except one well, which you can see on the plan, will fall within. We didn't have much of a choice on that one, because of the great elevations and trying to get it above groundwater the proper distance in a flood zone close by, so. I think again, I think we've done the best we could with the cards that were dealt on this one.
Let's do a quick question.
Yeah.
Or do you want to go?
Or, you have to go.
Can I
through the
ask a
chair.
quick question?
Of course.
The certified mail says, is this the neighbor that you spoke to? Because it just says that the meeting is on Thursday, June 19th at 4:00. Not trying to be nitpicky, I just
No.
want to make sure if this is somebody who didn't know, it says the wrong date and time. I mean, it says the right time, but the wrong date.
It says June 12th at 4 PM on the letter that I have that we sent to them.
Okay, the one that was submitted says June. I believe you.
Oh, you know what? Because we realized the meeting was sooner, so we corrected it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that
Well, we
I
have
remember
the
that now.
19th,
Okay.
Okay, no.
I just wanted to make sure
That's
they
fine.
knew
Yeah.
that you guys, sounds like you guys spoke to them because.
We didn't speak to them, but usually people will call us if they're concerned, once they get the letter from us.
Kind of on time.
They're speaking.
Yeah, that's Miller's people.
Oh,
I mean, they have people on it. They actually were living right next door.
They're in the same boat too, so.
Yeah,
it'll
right
be-
there.
Yeah.
Down the street, so. Um. That's not the area to work in, and then you're crossing property lines all over the place. There's going to be space between the townhouses and the pond. Uh, every tank is a strange system. Roughly most of the wells are in the front, septic systems in the back. So there generally is a separation from the wells. Okay.
Does the health department have anything on it?
Again, no, it's really a formality of notifying the neighbors and allowing them a chance to speak in the meeting. And, comes down to an access thing really to make sure properties aren't disturbed, but we're all familiar with this area and how narrow these lots are and everything, and they're just do the best you can. Maximum feasible compliance is what it called, but layman's term is do the best you can, and this is it, so.
I mean, this is the normal setup for the townhouse today. This is how we do it. I make a motion to adopt the consider for 44 Arkansas Avenue septic system as proposed on the plan.
Right, I'll second it. Okay. Now. Are you
Oh,
in
sorry,
favor?
let me, get some
Aye.
feedback.
Yes,
Oh, yes, okay. Mary,
yes.
yes,
Yes.
and yes,
Thank you.
all right. Now. We have number 9, which is for Hendricks.
My name is Jeff Blackwell. I'm here, the owner. This is a application was continued from last month. The abutters were notified by certain mail and there was no response, no questions, no calls. The variance that we're looking for is to replace the new leach field, the trench, just 5 feet away from the property line. Which is, the lots in this area, if you have the plan, are very small, sometimes only 80 by 100. This property is twice that, it's 160 by 100. They purchased a vacant lot next door some years ago and doubled the size of the property. Which gives us more flexibility in placement of a new well. The proposal here is to move a new well to the southwest corner of the property along Kendrick Street, which will maximize the separation to the upgrading septic systems toward Tom Nevers Road. Groundwater flow is basically from Tom Nevers Road to the north, heading south toward this property. So a new well in the southwest corner and a new leach field along the east property line achieves the required maximum feasible compliance for this property. There's no alternative well location that provides anywhere near the maximum feasible compliance or the greatest separation to the upgraded septic system on the neighboring properties. So, I will answer any questions for you.
So the ground flow though is from where the proposed new system is up in the one corner down towards the well, which is now down, which would be down in the other corner.
Yes,
Is that, I mean, asking, is that a concern that is direct? The leaching field company what is moving
it's
towards.
clear of, I brought some paper plans because I'm an old guy and or I'm old fashioned, let's say. So if you'd like to take a look, it's the proposed well ring is the red, well ring. And that this new well ring for the proposed well clears the proposed septic system location, the trench along the east property line. There's really, we can't maximize the setback any further on the property. It conforms not only with a 100-foot setback, but also with the 1990 well protection zone. The horseshoe shaped, or the horse little shaped, well protection zone.
Does, and again, it might be in the best way, does the proposed pool and anything, is that impacting location? I mean, it should be well first, pool second,
It doesn't, and this is a case of the pool that they want really having no effect because the layout of the surrounding wells and septics in the direction of groundwater flow. There's no accommodation made for the pool.
and we know there's a pool problem for the well, because now pool and the well are
No,
80 feet apart or 60 feet apart.
no, there's, that is not a problem.
And they're also in the upper corner. Is this, I guess, an alternate well? Was that in a location and B location or?
No, John asked if, we would explore an alternate location for the green well that
Yeah.
we're pointing to see if that provided, better compliance overall, and it's much worse. You can see that the well protection, the green line, captures the two leach fields to the north. So we almost double the well separation with a red well location down to the southwest corner.
Does the health department have a comment on this?
Um. Yeah, I guess my comment after Jeff has submitted this alternate well plan, I wanted to see just how much space would open up down in this area here for a leach field. He's intending with this other well down here, which you don't want to put the leach field in there and affect your neighbor down to the south there. So my only question would be if you could fit a leach bed in this area.
The short answer is yes, but then you'd be putting your well up into the northeast corner and
affecting.
so much less compliant with your overall regulations for well and septic separations. So it's a useful exercise, but it is shown that it's not the way to go.
Um. What, action,
Well, John, so is I'm assuming the proposed well is in the big picture in terms of all their options, is that a better location?
Drinking water wise for everyone, yeah, it's the best. It's, of course, the variance that's being requested is the property line setbacks and. There's saying if you can comply, you shall comply. Again, the variance from the property line setbacks is really not really an environmental concern. It's more of an access thing and, not going on other people's properties to maintain the system or anything, so.
The road is right next to the road, so there's access there. What is the property next to going down Kendrick? Is there something?
Yes, you can see that in the black one is the well protection zone, the well to the south along Kendrick.
Mhm.
And that well protection zone blows out most of the southerly part of the property for placement of a beach field.
I'd say almost all the wells are existing well. On the other side of the road or right on the road, just like that one. That seems to be the way it's been handled there.
Yeah.
In general.
so does the, health department feel this is a safe and okay solution?
I think, yeah, drinking water wise, it's the best scenario. They're also adding an IA system too, so that helps the scenario as well. Again, it's just like Nantucket, we deal with these lots out in Tom Nevers, which are all smaller, and you run into these tough scenarios with wells and leach fields and setbacks and everything like that, so if none of the neighbors have an issue, then I don't see a problem with it environmentally.
Okay, should we go ahead and vote to approve then? We have a motion.
And this one, it's not increasing the number of bedrooms, it's just putting in a new system that.
That's right. There's no more flow. Originally it was a 4-bedroom system. The new system will be a 4-bedroom system.
So they're not gonna have 6 bedrooms or. That,
No,
I'm just,
Again, so what is, number of bedrooms currently is
4.
4,
Yeah.
and no expansion.
Yep.
And sorry, madam, you could deed restrict,
Yeah.
bedroom deed restrict if it's, I'm not sure the size of the lot.
It's only 16,000 square feet.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not possible to get a permit for more bedrooms because we're already out of
Yeah, I think we have to
Yeah.
be realistic.
Motion to approve the plan as submitted, for Nantucket Street. The lower corner one. If it goes well.
Second.
Okay. Malcolm, have you disappeared? You're behind yeah, there you are.
I'm here. Hi,
Yes,
yes.
okay. Meredith?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
And yes,
Thank you.
right? Okay. We have 337. Nantucket Road.
Thank you. For the record, Paul Santos with Nantucket Surveyors, and this is the continuation of a hearing from last month. And I'd like to just repass out, because for those of you who may not have it, or if there will be a little breeze coming my way here.
Yes.
I checked it all. Yeah, I have one.
You have one, John?
I got it. Thank you.
Thank you. So this was an application, and if I could, basically the next two items on the agenda, 10 and 11, 337 and 339, were essentially tied together. And if we could hear those as one hearing, I think that would probably be beneficial for everybody.
Okay.
This is an application for essentially a design flow allocation, if you will, for the number of bedrooms for three particular properties located in Nantucket that are all controlled by the same family. Number 6 Ames Avenue is a 3-bedroom conventional system that does not have an IA component presently located on it. Number 339 is a code compliant 4-bedroom system with an IA component. And number 337 is a 5-bedroom system containing an IA component. So the application before you is in anticipation of a house move for 6 Ames Avenue, which is eventually going to happen. 6 Ames, as you all know, or Ames Ave itself is adjacent to the eroding shoreline. So the applicant would like to move the dwelling at number 6 to the property at number 339. Now, the property at number 339, we previously mentioned, has a 4-bedroom system. It has a 4-bedroom system design, and we will be moving 6 to that point. The existing home at 339, although it's designed for a 4-bedroom, it's a small cottage that contains only 2 bedrooms. So we would be having 5 bedrooms on 339 Nantucket Road, and 337 Nantucket Road is a 5-bedroom system for a home that only has 4 bedrooms. So what we're looking to do is reallocate and allow 339 to have the 5-bedroom system and reduce the bedrooms allowed on 337 to the 4-bedroom system. So at the end of the day, the bedroom count would be the same for the 3 properties. It's just that we would be allocating, removing a bedroom or the ability to put another bedroom at 337 and allowing it to be at 339 to accommodate the house move. Both 337 and 339 meet the requirements for lot area with regard to the state requirements for an IA system. The reason I'm before you tonight is the fact that you have the septic wastewater flow limitation within the Nantucket Harbor Watershed District that came into effect in 2009, which says that you're allocated 1 bedroom per 10,000 square feet. In addition, all of these properties, both 337 and 339, are now tied to town water. They do not, they were originally, on a private well. They are currently, now both tied to town water. So at the end of the day, the bedroom count is essentially the same number. It's just in number 6, obviously the property at number 6 eventually would be vacated and the home will be relocated to 339. There was some discussion, at the last meeting with regard to, has this been done before? Has anything similar to that been done before? I did submit an application that was done in 2010. It was an application that it's not exactly similar, but it was an application that was done to accommodate a house move. In this particular case, though, it was essentially filed as an aggregate plan. And the reason being was once the house was moved from the end of Nantucket Road to Washington Avenue, the vacated land was being used as a credit land or area towards the fact that the house was being moved. So it's similar in the fact that it was done to accommodate a house move, but I think other than that, it's a little bit, it's a different situation. In this situation, the home at 6th Avenue, or the land is not needed, the area is not needed to accommodate the requirement to meet the bedroom count requirement for the lot area on 339. And in all honesty, this is really an application for 339. 337 is being entered in because it gives us the ability, because we can control it, to reduce that system from a 5-bedroom to a 4-bedroom. The applicant acknowledged this application is strictly to accommodate the move from 6 to 339. We would be willing to put a deed restriction similar to what's done on it when a 2-bedroom system is put on a lot. We would be restricting 339 to the number of bedrooms allocated, and 337 would be restricted to the number of bedrooms allocated. That's the extent of the application. I did go into a little bit more detail with regard to lot areas and so forth in the actual written application. So just to briefly give you those numbers, 339 Nantucket Road contains 34,147 square feet. So with an IA system, that would be allowed 563 gallons per day maximum. The 5-bedroom system would be under that at 550 gallons per day. 337 Nantucket Road is a 26,825 square foot system. That system, by the Title V requirement, would only be allowed 442 gallons per day. That's currently a grandfathered 5-bedroom system. So we would then be removing the extra bedroom and bringing that into compliance. At the end of the day, you'd be only allowed to have 440 gallons per day on 337. So in a sense, we're bringing both 339 and 337 into the meeting the area requirements with regard to the state regulations. The issue before you is the fact that the 1-bedroom for 10,000 for the under the Nantucket flow regulations is really why I'm here before you today. Happy to answer any questions that the board may have. I think there was some, I think John might have done some additional research with regard to his recommendation that had been provided in the packet for the first meeting. And I don't know if that was put in the packet, John, or whether you have anything you maybe we can share with the board, or read it like to.
Yeah, good. I don't care. So yeah, I did some more looking into things and everything, and we've kind of been through this before with definition of a facility. And a facility, if it's under the same owner, includes the abutting property. So essentially, I would be okay with 337 going to 4 bedrooms, which is 5, but going down to 4, and 339 going to 5 from 4, as there's no change there. It would just be that it's each one's deed restricted. I spoke with Paul also, and I'd like to have an application for 337. Just so the main thing to me for our department is to have clear record of this change. So as it was brought up at the last meeting, well, what happens when one of the properties sells? So if 337 sells, we can't all of a sudden say, oh yeah, it was 5 bedrooms before, you're good for 5 bedrooms. It needs to be clear that this has gone down to 4 bedrooms and
And that's
it's,
how
it's
it's
in
gonna
4
stay.
bedrooms. So, you know, the bedroom deed restrictions, one way to do it. I'd also kind of like to have an application which details that and, you know, reduction in septic size essentially. And otherwise I'd be fine with that. So I wouldn't be okay with just a variance from the Nantucket harbor watershed, allowing just the extra bedroom on 339. It would be, I'd be in favor of being clear that it's just a swap, essentially, so.
I know, last month we asked, you know, between the number 6 house and the current 339, would they be willing just to get rid of a bedroom? You know, number 6 isn't a really big house. I'm assuming the bedrooms are kind of small.
So it's a small, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so it's just like make this 4 bedroom on that lot. If I kind of reconstruct the interior, so down is not between the 2 structures, you have 4 bedrooms rather than 5.
I mean, at the end of the day, that could be an option, but I just feel that there's enough. We're not asking for an increase. It's the same family where at the end of the day, 6 is gonna be vacant. Eventually it's gonna be gone. So, along with Ames Avenue. And then we have other problems to deal with, but, so I think, and the fact that you've already got existing IA systems, you have an IA tank on 339 that can accommodate the 5 bedrooms. So, I just think it's a reasonable ask for, you know, 3 essentially modest homes, you know, out in that.
Well, 339 said it's 4.
339
Has
has
a 4 bedroom.
4 bedroom IA,
system.
but that was the old, I mean, that was the Moran property. It was that was, they used to call it the barn, I think a red barn or something. It's an older, that home has been there for a while. It's a very small, you know, it's really not much to it. The house at 6 is actually larger than what would be there for that one. And the 337 is a conventional, again, that was part of the Morans. This was all owned by the Morans at one time. So. And we can fit, we've actually we can adjust the lot line between the 2 to make when we move, if it gets moved over, we can, you know, make some room there and have enough room to make this all happen.
And the plan we have essentially the driveway for 339, the leach field, that the driveway will be over the leach field.
No, the leach field for 339 is, you see, as you drive in, there's the kind of turnout to the right. The leach field is in that lawn area right there.
Okay.
Yeah. And the house that moved from 6 would be at the front, right up by Nantucket Road.
Okay. So all the way down.
Yeah, it'd be way up in the front with it. And then what we've done is we've got a plan to adjust the lot line. And because that way we can take the house will be dropped where the driveway is, and we can sweep the driveway around. And then still have the systems. The lot areas would not change, but the system would be out in the back where it is right now.
Okay, so there's one IA system. And there's a structure up here and a structure down here. Where's the tank?
You can take that and every other down. So that plan. Yeah, so if you see what 339 is, and you see what 337 is, you see what the system is. The system is right, and that's right to the right side of the driveway.
Yep.
And then the home would be put up on the front off of Midland Ave, Nantucket Road, where that gravel dive, the house would be up in the front.
So the pipes from the Ames house towards the front will go past the leaching field and come into
the tank, yeah.
and then leach out again like
Yeah,
that.
yep. And then there's no change essentially to 337.
Yeah.
That's just.
And there's no cross, the system is entirely on 339. There's
Yeah.
no sharing
Nope.
in terms of that property line.
Nope. Well, that system was actually originally put in, it's like 2000. It was one of the first IA systems that had been put in out in that area. 2005. That system was put in 2000. There's an IA system put in 2005.
And it was tested recently.
This one did not, we'll have to do, anything we do there, we'll have to an upgrade on that one. Like I said, that's a little two-story little shed essentially. So, but that'll, as part of anything we do with that, that would require a new test. 337 was a new tank that was just put in 2022. That was put in as part of the sale when, the family bought 337. The upgrade requirement to an IA tank for transfer of land, that's when that IA system was put in.
And there are no nearby systems.
Nope. Well, there's not, the only thing that we would have to do here is connect to the tank. And then this is actually, I think we have to add a couple chambers in there, but no, most everyone around here now is on water. Actually, there's no well issues. There's no,
So do you have to sell the butters?
for what? No,
No.
there's no requirement here for,
So, John,
Yes,
if we were to put a motion that met the kind of, this thing you say, to kind of really ensure that they're separate and it's clear that, you know, they're kind of each block.
Yeah.
Can we act on that today, or do they need to submit something so that we would have, you know, something to work with?
yeah, they need to submit all this stuff. I mean, it could be approved with these conditions is, I suppose is what would be my opinion. You know, approval conditioned on, the bedroom deed restrictions for both lots. So 4 bedrooms for 337 and 5 bedrooms for 339. An application for
Madam
3.
Chair.
So, yeah, if Malcolm wants to go.
Yes,
Sort of, Meredith talked about this a little bit. I know there's no requirement about abutters, but the Nantucket people in that particular part of the island are quite vocal. I'd be just curious as to what the neighbors think, whether it's required or not. I wonder if there's anybody out there listening. And two, and you have to move a house. Is this an historic house?
no, quite honestly, I don't know the date. The reason for the move, Malcolm, is due to the eroding shoreline.
I know that, but you talked about a historic barn in here. I just want to make sure.
That's the home that's already on 339.
That's the home that's already there.
That's already there, yeah.
Okay, so that doesn't need move or
No,
HDC approval.
that stays in place.
Okay, I would just kind of ask the viewing public if they have any comments on this, because I know those residents are quite vocal and concerned about their environment.
I don't know if the GIS is 100% accurate, but it does say that the house at 6 Ames was built in 1900.
Yeah.
I don't know how accurate this.
I mean, the HDC, obviously, the house move will require full HDC approval. At that point, notice will go out to the abutters. The Hodges are a family that have been out in that neighborhood for some time, I think, and again, this is, you know, these are fairly modest homes for Nantucket. It's a typical Nantucket. Up there.
I understand, but there's some emotion out there and we have to be cognizant of that.
No, anytime we file with the HDC, planning board, anything like, any type of requirement that gets a notice, we're gonna get comments from the Nantucket. I don't know if it's the advisory board or what they're considered now, but you know, Bruce will be the spokesman and we'll hear about it.
So if by strange chance you don't get approved for the move, then none of this matters.
That's correct. That's correct. And to say too, this application we're asking for is for a house move. I wouldn't expect that someone says, we can't move the house and I'm gonna go build a new home. I think this is for the house. We're asking for this for the house.
You know, this is preparation for. you know,
They're gonna
that
lose the
remote.
house. if they don't
Yeah,
work.
that's right. This is preparation for the house, you know. So.
I'm comfortable with all.
And that may not happen in the next year or 2 year, but it's.
When do they anticipate?
It's actually, this property, it's not, this is a 15,000 square foot lot. If you look at the map, they've got a little space, but not much. I mean, we can, you know, in some areas down there, we've lost 50, 60 feet.
Yeah.
Within a year, you know what I mean? And I know the town is, because I've been doing some work with the town, we're looking presently at options for the end of Ames Avenue, trying to work with some of the neighbors on rerouting that 90-degree turn at the end of Ames, you know, by Miller's Cottage and so forth, because the next thing to go there is the corner of Ames Avenue, you know?
Yes.
Well,
So-
I'm comfortable,
Okay.
Madam Chair, if we follow John's conditions and we have an understanding that it's a sensitive area of the island and there's potential historical implications, et cetera, and I don't want to interfere with anything the town is doing in that part of the island.
Well, I think the request is, yeah, the request is just to deal with what the septic systems won't be required there. I think, we're saying that, I mean, John was saying that he would want to have a deed restriction on both lots.
Yes. So I know another thing is, so they are, I know you're talking about both at the same time here, but they are individual agenda items. So I think you have to condition each one to each.
Yeah. Well, if I was
Property,
asking, do we need to have
so.
something that kind of says we have the action on 337, and action on 339, or can we do it kind of currently?
It is two separate, technically, it's the same family, but
But
they're
the-
two
the two-
entities, so I think we have to do it separately.
Yeah, and do we have the right stuff to do that now?
Yeah.
Or do we need that other piece of something?
I did file it as two separate.
Okay.
Yeah, in my opinion, yeah, the board could approve it with conditions, of course, you know, that the variance is only good upon conditions being met, which would be 337 being deed restricted to 4 bedrooms. And an disposal works construction application submitted to the health department to reduce on paper, reduce the size of the system from 5 to 4 bedrooms. So a design flow of 440 gallons per day.
So let's do that. Let's tackle that
That would be.
and get that one done. So, is there a motion to,
Can I just ask, it's an existing well here. On the next top, 340.
they're on town water?
They're all in town
They're-
water now.
oh,
Yeah, yeah.
They don't use that well?
No, they don't use
Oh.
that. Yeah.
Okay, now, so we're working on, right now, we're working on number 337, Nantucket Road. You just want to make a
Yeah,
motion?
so that is a matter of deed restricting it to 4 bedrooms.
Well, first, the first thing to reduce the system from 5 to 4. Isn't that the first piece of it?
Yeah, approve the system going from 5 bedrooms to 4. And
Well, the system is
Thank
a
you.
5-bedroom system, but we're just saying we're deed restricting it to 4 bedrooms.
correct, yes.
Yeah, the system isn't changing. We're
We
just
can't
saying.
change, yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
all we're changing is the number of
It's fairly
bedrooms
new,
that'll be
okay, yeah.
on that property.
Yeah.
So
And
really, it's a deed restriction. It's not changing, a septic system that is currently there.
no, it's not changing it at all. I mean, if we wanted to be real picky, we'd have them dig up part of the leach field and reduce it, and that doesn't seem necessary. I'd just like a paper copy trail of that, so we can have that in our files, so it details that.
Okay. So. Do you want to make the motion, Carrie, or,
Sure.
okay,
It's, my understanding is we want to deed restrict 337 to 4 bedrooms. Despite the fact that it's a 5-bedroom IA system. Just stop that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, I guess the
That's
last thing, we
important.
could walk through the properties, the facilities to see that it got from 5 to 4. I don't know how many bedrooms currently exist, but.
And so with the.
Yeah, it's not right in there.
Well, again, we've done it before, where it's a post
Inspect.
walkthrough, yeah, inspection after the change has been made. So,
okay. That's your motion?
yeah, so deed restricted to 4 bedrooms with walkthrough upon the work being completed at 337 Nantucket Road.
I'll second that. Malcolm,
Aye.
Meredith,
Yes.
Yes.
Carrie, and yes. All right, one down.
Good.
One to go. All right, now we're gonna talk about 339. So what do we want to say about this?
So currently it's a 4-bedroom IA system. With the move of the house from 6 Ames over, becomes a 5-bedroom lot.
Correct.
So is that a new system that will accommodate 5 bedrooms?
The existing system, the IA system is a tank that will already accommodate 5.
Okay.
We simply have to add 2 chambers to the existing trenches to get 5 bedrooms.
Okay.
So,
And again, that would be deed restricted to 5 bedrooms also. So. Anything else?
Sorry,
So we want to deed restrict 339 to 5 bedrooms, but there is going to be work that's got to be done to make.
and that would be a separate application that would be filed with the board.
Yeah,
With the department.
so,
But we have to make sure that that gets approved, that separate application. It's sort of a subcategory of this.
Yeah.
I think it should be attached to this. Can it be or no?
Yeah, that could be done right away. I mean,
I'm sorry.
Because you said it has to get a certain, another chamber or something like that.
One chamber has to be added to the end of each field, and then it's a 5, because then we'll accommodate a 5-bedroom design. The tank already is sufficient for 5 bedrooms. But that would be a separate disposal works permit application that would be done at the time, essentially, that the plans for the house move are shown. So.
Well, I guess that's all right. I
that could
just
be
don't
done.
want to get hung up.
Yeah, that could be done right. I can do that. We can do that right away. That could.
Yeah, that requires an application.
The permit's good
anyway,
the
so.
permit would be good for 2 years, and
Yeah.
we'll see where we are in 2 years and if
Yeah.
where the shoreline is.
Kind of makes the whole package. Instead of
Yeah, that would be
breaking
fine.
It up, and that just, so again, there's clarity for the owners and
Yeah,
also
yeah.
for us.
Nope, that's fine.
So it would be a deed restricting for 5 bedrooms with the addition of.
Well, it would be
Yeah.
it'd be deed restricted to 5 bedrooms, with the issuance of a disposal works construction permit.
And maybe something of mentioning that the 5th bedroom comes from the property at 337 or something.
Well, yeah, I guess,
Who's ready?
do you want to say due to need for house move, or is that?
Due to 337 Mattocket going from 5 bedrooms to 4 bedrooms. That's what I would
Yeah.
include.
So in sense to include the rationale as to why we're
Correct.
allowing this kind of unusual.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume if I came in here today and proposed this to you and said we were gonna build a new house on 339, we would be having
We'd
this
turn it
conversation.
down, yeah.
And maybe no discussion,
So,
yeah, so I
Okay,
guess
so then,
if we can get the wording, so we want to deed restrict 339 to 5 bedrooms, the issuance of the construction.
disposal works construction permit.
Disposal or construction permit, and also adding, I guess the reason is that we're reducing 337 from 5 bedrooms to 4-bedroom living
At 337.
at 337.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to say something about having the house moved? And that's part of the reason behind the whole thing, I think.
In my opinion, really, no, I'm not really looking at that aspect. I'm just looking at a transfer of nitrogen loading, to be honest. Just, they own both properties, so, they're just changing the number of bedrooms from one part. They're just
Okay, they're swapping
switching.
the.
Yeah,
they're
so it's
swapping.
allowing to do that.
Okay,
I think it's better that they're saving the house.
Yeah, they're saving
From
the house.
And like, you could, if that's how the board feels, you could condition of that upon the house move at 6 Ames.
I would sort of preface it really differently. The last thing I would put is the deed restriction. I would say due to the need for a house move. That would be how I would word it. There will be. In order to accommodate that, there will be a deed restriction placed on
So due to the,
339.
yes, due to the house move from 6 Ames Avenue.
Yes.
39 Nantucket Road will be deed restricted to 5 bedrooms with the issuance of a disposal construction.
Disposal works.
Disposal works, construction permit. That,
And,
Yeah.
337 Nantucket Road,
oh, yes.
going from 5 bedrooms down to 4 bedrooms.
All right.
So I will make a motion that due to the house with the 6 Ames Avenue, 339 Nantucket Road will be deed restricted to 5 bedrooms with the issuance of disposal. I can write about writing, contract and permit, and 337 Nantucket Road will be going from 5 bedroom deed restricted, will be deed restricted to 4 bedrooms down from 5 bedrooms.
Good job.
I will second that.
Okay. Terry,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Malcolm,
Uh,
and yes. Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
I
Paul.
appreciate the extra month to get some clarity.
yeah. All right, now we have 12 and 13, but are they, should they be taken together, or is this, two very separate things?
Same property, 2 different applications.
Okay,
One Lake Meredith.
yeah,
Yeah.
The gist I was getting in the last application is the folks at 6 Ames probably fall asleep to the sound of the ocean.
Yeah. It's very
Which is nice, but unfortunate that, it's eroding and the house has to be moved.
It's still house already.
well, they're lucky they've got the option.
Right.
Yeah, and that's. Wow, we don't have that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Good afternoon, Dan.
Yeah.
Afternoon, Dan Deloitte, the applicants, 1313 Woodland Drive. So the first application is for lot 5 on Woodland Drive. This was continued from your last meeting.
Mhm.
At the last meeting, you would approve 4 variance requests on the first 4 lots. On this lot here, you would ask us to look at the possibility. The question was, what other buildings are going to be on the property? And we've gone back and looked at the plan. We have not given you anything new. Because we don't, as was kind of stated last meeting, we haven't designed it's a residential house. We are a house, second dwelling or an accessory, whatever number of dwelling units will be there. we haven't done the full design plans for those, but we don't have a bedroom count to associate with what we can design. So what would normally happen in this case, if the board would have granted the variance, then the remaining house plans would be designed, the plan would be updated to show whatever houses are going where. And then that updated plan would come into the department as an updated septic plan showing where buildings would go. But it wouldn't change the septic design, it wouldn't change the septic flow. That's the only piece of information I think the board was looking to inquire about. I'll say. Forget some specific piece of it. We'd already approved 4 of the lots, so we have 2 more. Next application is going to be the same exact vegetation. It was just a question of, in this case here, the variance is to go up to as many as 12 bedrooms, and we're only showing 1 building, which most likely won't be just one 12-bedroom house.
So lot 5 was the 12 bedroom.
Right.
Actually,
Yes.
Yes.
yeah, I guess maybe this isn't a Board of Health issue at all, but just 12 bedrooms. Who's living, is that more like dormitory?
So
Yeah,
this is this is the confusing part. So we've done multiple systems on, we've done residential properties, there's 1 property with 1 family for 18 bedrooms. So we've done them that big, and that's not. And the reason being for that is there isn't that many people there. It's the way a building is designed. Rooms count as bedrooms, even if it's only 4 people. If a gym or different things count as a bedroom, so all of a sudden the number goes way up. An 18-bedroom property there isn't 40 people living on that property. It's a residence, it just happens to be a lot of space. So what you're seeing here is we're just asking for the variance so we can then proceed with designing whatever main house, second dwelling, accessory dwelling that's what then built the property. So it's not. I'm not building a dormitory or some large. This is the first step of the design process, essentially.
Go ahead.
I guess my concern is 12 bedrooms is a lot. And I think that this lot has gone through a lot of, first it was going to be affordable houses, but I don't know anyone that works for the town that can afford $1.2 million, which is what the highest for an affordable house was. Then it was, no, it's not going to be affordable housing, but then that was brought up again at town meeting. And now it's, we just want to have 12 bedrooms here. And I don't know that this is going to add to any affordable housing for the island, which as it may, it's a lot of bedrooms in a area that is not very dense. It's not a dense neighborhood. I think most of the people on Woodland actually could have a second dwelling, but don't. It's not on sewer. So I just, 12 is kind of a shocking number.
Well, like
I didn't, but I also didn't vote for the 3 bedrooms.
So, I mean, I find that, but what we're here for is a variance on a nitrogen motion. And I'm not trying to be adversarial, but the physical use of the property is almost irrelevant. So this is an 80,000 square foot lot in a 20,000 square foot lot neighborhood. The majority of the lots and houses on Woodland Drive might have more ground cover. I haven't checked them all, but they don't have septic capacity. Most of the houses on Woodland are between 3 to 5 bedrooms. And those are on 20,000 square feet. So we have 80,000 square feet. So we have a lot that's as big as 4 other houses on the street. So from a density standpoint, we're already 4 times bigger than all the lots on Woodland. So if you look at some of the houses on Woodland Drive, you could take 3 of those houses that have 4 bedrooms each and you're at 12. And that's only 60,000 square feet. We have 80. So that's not the question of the issue here. What we're asking for is the variance to allow us to put additional bedrooms in the property to use an IA system. And we've already approved 4 on the same property. So it's not, routinely, it's not it's not the flow, it's not the type of use. Is this a benefit to the environment, which has been shown numerous times. I think just by voting to have already approved 4 of them, I think you've already come to the conclusion that it does benefit. It's a benefit to the Title V under the state notes it's a benefit by allowing extra bedrooms. It's a clear fact. The state, so an IA system can provide a treatment capacity almost 3 times higher than a conventional system. DEP conservatively knocked that down to 1.5. So we're providing an environmental benefit by using the IA system, even though there's more bedrooms. And again, we're talking about nitrogen credits, that's it. So that's really, I can keep answering questions, but it's the same
You know, I guess,
continuous discussion.
we approved 4, but 4 times 3 is 12. Those 4 lots were 12 bedrooms total.
Right.
That's
Now we're
correct.
at 12 bedrooms.
Those are 80,000 square feet total.
Yeah, and a different lot, but it's.
Is it, I just concern where the location of this is on Woodland Drive. There are 2, the only outlet is to Skyline Drive, which is a private road that then goes to either the Boulevard, to Surfside Road, or to Old South Road. Now, I'm not sure how many people in this room have been on Old South Road or Surfside Road at around 7:30 in the morning lately, but I have, and it is horrific. So when I look at this, it is the environmental impact, and I get that, but we are not the environmental police. It is also like I also think of it as like the public health concerns of the island, correct? Like, we're also looking at the increase in the number of people that and I understand that we've approved these in the past and I didn't always feel great about it. The environmental impact of the increase in the number of people on the island going to the hospital, needing to call the ambulance, needing an ambulance to get down Old South Road or Surfside Road at certain times of the day to get to this sort of very not easily accessible road concerns me because of where it is, and the increased number of people is just, I mean, 12
I understand
bedrooms.
what you're saying, but the request is the nitrogen loading, so what we're talking about now is beyond the scope of what we're requesting. I understand what you're trying to get to, but it's beyond what we're actually requesting.
But as
You
a
can't
Board of
touch
Health,
traffic.
we're not just concerned with nitrogen loading and what goes into the ground. There are other pieces of public health that the Board of Health is responsible for. And I think we're trying to get to, well, how is this property going to be used, right? What is this? What is, why, how? I think we would all be much happier if it were not so amorphous, if we're not so open-ended. We just want an approval for 12 bedrooms and we'll figure out how we're gonna use it. Are we gonna put 50 people in it, or are we gonna have,
Well, I mean,
1 billionaire that, I mean.
I can help narrow that down. So the property is only zoned allowed residential use for starters. It's not zoned allowed for apartments. It's not zoned allowed for duplexes. It's only zoned for single family residential use. We can go through an effort and provide you a plan that shows a typical compound layout with a house, second dwelling, a pool, and command. We can certainly do that. But it's not going to change. And I'm happy to do that if that's truly what you want to see so we can finish this, but it's not going to change. If that's all you want to see, then I'm happy to do it. I'm just not sure what that's going to change. We still have to provide an updated plan for the health department to actually approve the disposal works permit. But I'm happy to give you that plan to do the work. But I don't want to go down the path to produce the plan with the extra steps if that's not what you're looking for.
I think it is what we're looking for. I don't think we've ever approved something that didn't have a sense of what the dwelling was going to be, that needed the septic, that needed the
I mean,
IA.
if I were just to say it's a big it won't be, but if I just said the plan is the actual house, even though it's a big square. Well, I'm trying to get at what would the difference be if it was one big house or three small houses?
I don't think we've ever, or that I can recall, been brought just a blank plan of, well, we bought it knowing that we could only have 8, because a variance is a variance. It's not, I bought this, I knew I got 8 bedrooms, but I want 12, so I'm gonna do this too, which is why we've had this whole discussion earlier. So I think usually there is a lot more detail in what is going on and than what is here.
So
Is there a
I
pool?
mean,
You know,
it probably will be, so I guess I'll leave.
but that's, I think that, but you're trying to, it's like there are other things that we would be concerned about that will be on that property and, this is, I understand the other, there's a square footage. I understand that part. I just think, our discomfort really is usually we have something to work from, and we know that there's missing pieces. We know that there's a pool, there's probably gonna be a cabana. There's gonna be, there's other stuff that's gonna be part of this whole environment, and each of those elements impacts. It impacts them, impacts the environment, and I think that's where our discomfort really is. It's not so much, we understand the square footage and everything, but this is kind of a little, much more amorphous than what we're really, I think they've dealt with in the past. But we know that there's missing elements. And it's not they're being hidden, it's just that we know because of what's presented here is really just that kind of gross. The structure, we know it can be this big, it can handle this much, and with IA system, we can. But there's other stuff on this plan that isn't there. And that's where, I think that's where our discomfort is, not so much with it is, we're not sure what we're approving, other than just a number.
Yeah, I would agree. And I mean, I think Meredith said it well. We've never approved anything that I remember that didn't have a plan for what the thing was gonna be.
Okay, so. Well, I don't want to keep talking, if there's any more questions, then I'll.
I'm done.
Alright, so to be clear, and we'll come back, we'll revise the plan, we'll come back with a full, what I'll call layout from what you would normally see with the whole, whatever it's gonna be.
That really would be helpful. I think for us just to kind of really get a sense of what's the whole lot look like, not just looking at septic and, a square here and a septic system there, but there really are other elements and, some of those elements may be of concern, or they may not be, depending upon the environmental impact.
Yeah, just let them bring it. Stephen Morey that wants to say something. Go ahead. You have your hand up?
I do. Thank you. I was having some difficulty unmuting myself. I appreciate you recognizing me. And I hear the board's interest in seeing what might be built on this property. Some of the issues I don't have clarity on, to be completely frank. I mean, Ms. Lepre referenced the changing plans for this property over the last 18 months, and they have changed. There was a proposal put forward that required rezoning and sewer, and now neither of those things are available. So now we're looking to see what might be available in terms of bedroom allowance. Issues of traffic connectivity and those things. I wasn't aware that was in the scope of the review of the Board of Health, and so I didn't direct Dan to look at those things. But I will highlight for the board that the density of bedrooms per square foot of lot area that's being proposed here is lower than what exists on Woodland Drive today. This is not out of character for the neighborhood. And I think, you guys have a two-pronged criteria here. You've got, is the variance, if granted, is it going to have a net benefit on the environment? And I believe the answer to that is definitively yes. If we move forward with a conventional system and the allowance that we have, it would be more nitrogen in the ground than if the IA system and additional bedrooms are approved. And then the second prong is it manifestly unjust to enforce the restriction? And I think when you look at the rest of the neighborhood, including the 4 parcels that you approved at the last meeting, the answer to that one would also be yes. And so I hear that you want to know exactly what's going to happen with this property. And we can put together a concept plan, but it would be just a concept plan because ultimately I'm going to sell the land. I'm very unlikely to build the plan that I show you next week or next month. And so we're looking to hear from the board what needs to be done to protect the the aquifer, to protect the town's wellhead, because that's why this restriction is in place at all. The Board of Health doesn't get involved in how many bedrooms are on R20 lots outside of the wellhead protection district or other protected areas. So that's really what we're talking about, is what is going to affect the wellhead. And if it's helpful to see a layout that shows multiple dwellings and attendant outbuildings and pools and such, then just maybe confirm that so that we have some clarity and we can bring you what you need for the next meeting.
Yeah, I would say that when someone asks for a 12-bedroom system, it goes beyond just the basic things that we normally approve. It goes beyond not only for the, what's going into the ground, but it also goes beyond in terms of a bunch of other things. And as I said before, the Board of Health is not only about nitrogen going into the ground. It's, it's other things. And so I think I'm uncomfortable, and I think most of my colleagues are uncomfortable just sort of approving we don't know what we're gonna do, but we want the approval.
Malcolm raised his hand.
Malcolm?
Yes, I was kind of struggling with this and uncomfortable without specifics. And then when Mr. Murray said he was going to sell the land, are we going to be approving some unknown something for somebody else? And I'm sorry, that's just not acceptable.
Okay, then I think, if that's the sentiment of the board, then I don't, you guys have more items on the agenda and more things to do. I don't think that we will be back next month, and we'll move forward with a conventional system.
So are you withdrawing your variance?
I'll speak with Dan about that. I don't know about the formalities, but
Okay.
Yep.
I could speak, then I guess with that, if we could ask for a continuance to the July meeting, and we'll be back or we'll withdraw.
Yeah,
That works.
that's good.
A motion to continue discussion on 13 Woodlands.
Is the other one too? Or
Well, let's
Madam
vote
Chair,
on
I
this
don't
one,
think-
and we can move
Yeah,
to
okay.
the second.
Yeah, just one at a time.
I think
So-
if he's going to withdraw, we don't have to continue.
no, I think
I'd
You'd
like
like to have
to
a
continue to July, and then we can always, we want you to
Right.
come back to you, we can, or if we want to withdraw in the meantime.
yes,
We
that
don't
makes
have to
sense.
come to a meeting.
That makes
You
sense.
can really decide what you want to do next.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So a motion to continue discussion on 13 Woodlands Lot 5 to the July Board of Health meeting.
Do we know the date that been changed? There's still third
Oh.
Thursday?
Yes.
It is.
Thursday.
Thank you.
And second,
Second,
and we'll go.
Okay, Malcolm,
yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
and yes. All right. Lot 6,
Can I, say
Yeah.
something? Just
Well-
for the, my name's Graham Kilgore, I live on Skyline Drive, just for the information, of the board. The Woodland property was also LUG2 originally. All the lot, everything along there was LUG2. And it was when Walter Glowacki created that subdivision, which the neighborhood fought against tooth and nail, but we lost. He created those 20 lots, those 20,000 square foot lots.
that is what resulted in there being an odd, if you will, LUG two lot back there. So that was created by the planning board who approved that subdivision. And I know that that's sometimes come up as there's an odd lot there that we should clean up. So that was created by the planning board. And the only other thing I would mention, I would doubt anywhere on, clearly on Woodland, but anywhere else on Skyline Drive, is there any house that has a system greater than 8 bedrooms?
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Number 13 is 13 Woodland Drive, lot 6.
Again, Dan Malloy for the applicant, lot 6, 13 Woodland Drive. Similar to the previous meeting, previous application, this was continued again. The board was looking for additional information in terms of number of dwellings, type of buildings, and stuff and whatnot to be proposed in the plan. So what I would present, we don't have a revised plan, so I have nothing different to tell you than we just discussed. And based on the previous application, I'm going to assume that in order for you to take action, you will be looking for something with more detail.
Yeah, it seems very much the same.
So that being,
They are also looking for a 12.
No,
no, this is a 7-bedroom,
7,
Ah,
I thought it was
So-
8. No,
sub.
7.
16.
So in this case, it's 7 bedrooms. Technically, 1 house footprint can certainly accommodate that. My question is the plan you have for you in front of you for the 7 bedrooms with 1 building adequate? Or are you looking for more detail as you were in the previous applications?
One, I would like, I think the same situation where it's kind of like we just have, we have absolutely minimal information where again, there is more to the lot than just the square house and the septic field. So again, I'd like the previous one, I'd be comfortable if there was like a little more detail to it. And also again, if it's in the same situation where it's going to be sold or not sold, I mean, to kind of clarify that that we are uncomfortable, just kind of make it variance and then that variance gets passed to somebody else. So I mean, essentially time to meet with Stephen and sort out how you want to present the next meeting, whether it's withdrawing stuff, going with conventional, if you want the variance and to kind of have more detail so we can kind of see what the entire environment looks like on that each lot.
So
Yes.
if there's no other comments, I'd request to continue to the July meeting.
motion to
Yes.
continue.
Second motion. Roll call.
Malcolm,
Yes, aye.
Meredith,
Aye.
Yeah.
Carrie.
Yeah.
And. All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
we are now on agenda item number 14, which is Lover's Lane Lot 1.
Again, Dan Malloy for the applicant here, Attorney Brian Swain is with me as well. So this application, the board considered at its previous meeting. And during that application process, based on how that meeting went, I'll say, and how other applications were considered after it, it seemed like there may have been to some level, some confusion as to what was being proposed and where and what was going on. So we've come back to you to ask for the board to reconsider the variance request, and the request entails it's lot 1 and 38 Lovers Lane. Lot is just over 20,000 square feet. The lot is allowed by right to have a two-bedroom septic system on it. We're asking for a nice tree credit to allow us to put 3 bedrooms in the property. That will include the use of an IA system. So this was discussed last time, and I think there were definitely some misunderstanding as to what was happening. So this property contains 4 lots. One of these lots, the board has already approved the same exact variance request on. That property is currently under construction. So you've already approved this one time on the same property. And immediately following this last application, you then approved 4 on Woodland Drive, which is why we're back, because something, again, I believe it was just some missing pieces. So it's a 20,000 square foot lot. Yeah, it's allowed a conventional system, 2 bedrooms by right. We're asking to put an IA system on the property to allow us to use 3 bedrooms. And the IA system is proven, and you're going to be hearing this numerous times, and again later in July, we have Barnstable people come over. We know it's providing a cleaner solution. It's a proven fact. Also nitrogen, it reduces E. coli, it reduces bacteria. So we can go into lots and lots of detail. We can talk for a long time, but you've heard of this before. It's very straightforward. Nitrogen loading credit from 2 bedrooms, that's great. I'll keep it that simple, but
Well, I think, again, you obviously it was an interesting meeting. And that's why we had the discussion earlier about putting a moratorium, so we really can, really start sorting out, what the big picture is in play with the issue in terms of, effectiveness of systems, what's being factored, what's not. So, I mean, that pretty much brought to a head that we really do want to stop the clock a second and get quality information to be able to go forward. So I think the last meeting brought all that kind of to a head.
Right.
Is where, you saw that we have, that we're not comfortable with anything almost.
But it's my understanding that because this is an application that has been in the works for a while, we need to make a decision.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not, but it's, it's kind
Yeah,
of like
so we're not
that discussion
we're not
led
gonna-
to.
We're not gonna keep going,
Yeah,
around.
this, we have an obligation. I mean, we have a
Yeah,
legal obligation to deal with this.
Absolutely. John, on behalf of the Department of Health,
Yes.
do you want to comment on this one at all, or?
I mean, I've seen these scenarios many times, outside of any protected zone, this is allowed. It's allowed by Title V. It's even allowed in nitrogen sensitive areas as defined by Title V for this expansion to happen, or, extra, bedrooms, let's say 6 bedrooms per acre instead of 4 on a conventional. So it's all something that has been reviewed by the state and is allowed. I do certainly hear the board's concerns, everything. I always just try and focus it back down to what I'm focusing on in terms of wastewater and treatment and everything. And these systems are good. It's enhanced treatment. And I think in scenarios where you're going from 2 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms, I believe we're focusing more on a single family dwelling. Each system is presumed to be 3 bedrooms. That's the minimum in Title V. Anytime you go below 3 bedrooms, it needs to be deed restricted. And the premise is bigger systems accommodate more flow and are more efficient that way. Trying to match up with the number of bedrooms and usage. So, I don't have concerns environmentally. I think this is it beats a 2-bedroom conventional system in this area. So.
Clarify something. Are we starting out with lot 2? Which lot are we? Because one of the lots already has a home on it with a functioning.
so we're talking about lot 1, it's a vacant lot.
Yeah,
That's a
and
vacant-
they're asking to
I just
go
want to make sure, because I know there's
from
3 of them.
a 2-bedroom without an IA to a 3-bedroom with an IA, and I am in favor of doing that. That would be my how I would approach this.
I have my
We have
expressed areas of discomfort, but the fact that we are going to be sitting down talking about it with the moratorium, that we have approved stuff, I think in this case, it's prudent to disapprove and Hopefully over the next 90 days, we will have better understanding, better be able to respond better as board to these questions. So that I'm as comfortable as I'm gonna be. with it.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
my recommendation for the board also, if the board does approve these types of variances, would be to always set a bedroom deed restriction. So
Yeah,
it's not
Great
uncommon
idea.
for us to see, hey, I know that was approved for 3 bedrooms and it's advertised for 4. So I think having that clear
Great idea.
language from the beginning
That's a great
is something
No problem with that.
would be a good.
By regulation, if you grant just a variance for cabinet 3, so there's no reason not to understand.
yeah,
I do, because there's a future garage put here, which many times people put apartments on top of, so there would be another. And I'm not saying you're doing that, I'm just saying that
Yeah, the garage wouldn't be allowed to have plumbing in this case because it qualifies as a bedroom.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, the last part would be
yeah, no, I think
as,
that's a beautiful idea.
as defined by Nantucket Board
Okay,
of Health.
so are we
definition
ready?
of a bedroom.
Want to make a motion to do this?
That was lot 1, right?
Lot 1,
Motion
38
to,
Lovers Lane.
Accept the variance request for 38 Lovers Lane, lot 1, with the deed restriction of 3 bedrooms.
Malcolm? Oh, wait, we have
That
a
was
second, we need a
Gotta
second.
be second, let's
Sorry.
go forward.
I'll second it.
All
Malcolm,
Nope, you're muted, Malcolm. Maybe I.
Carrie,
Uh,
I'll go to you first.
yes,
Meredith?
no.
I'm back. It would be nice if this was later in the year, but we're dealing with what we are, so I have to vote yes.
And yes,
3-1.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lot 1.
That's Lot 1, here we go. Now we have 2. Oh, yeah, right.
So
2,
this will be very simple. It's 3 in a row. So this is lot 2, 38 Lovers Lane. The same exact request that you just voted for. Again, lot just over 20,000 square feet. There is an existing house on the property. That will either be renovated or reconstructed. So there will be eventually a 3-bedroom system here. That's the request, to go from a 2-bedroom conventional system to a 3-bedroom system utilizing 9 home. Otherwise, it's the exact word for word also used to approve.
Except this has a functioning septic that's not failed or has any issues with it as well.
That's correct. There's a functioning 2-bedroom house and a functioning 2-bedroom system. So they'd like to renovate the house or expand and change it in some way to go to 3 bedrooms, and they can't do that without a variance.
Right. And now we made a new system to.
Yes,
So
it
you'd be going.
would have to be a brand new system.
Brand new system. Okay. Town water.
Town water.
it's the same, it's basically
Yeah,
the same.
They're all 3 of them are in the wellhead
So-
protection.
It's the same, yeah.
They're the same
It's the
exact.
same thing. They're going from 2 to 3 in all of them, and they're,
This is not the same. This one has a house on it with a 2-bedroom septic that is functioning fine, and it's not, they're just ripping it out to put in a IA so that they can have 3rd bedroom. So I would say this is not necessarily the same as the last one. But
I guess. Having owned a historic house, there are many things that you get permission to do if you do something else. And I'm very used to that, and so I feel perfectly comfortable with this. And so,
Madam Chair, may I ask John a question?
absolutely not.
Is this, although there's a septic system there, we're talking about renovation, new construction by our definition?
Is that the proposal that's?
Yeah, it will be new construction, absolutely. Whatever category it falls in will be new construction. However, whatever work they do on the house, whether it's an expansion or renovation or change, it will be new construction by definition. Building.
Sorry to clarify, was this a newly subdivided lot though?
Yes,
Okay, so it's a new new lot, which is recorded or will be recorded.
It's a new lot that was recorded.
Okay.
It's compliant right now, but any expansion or work on the property will require. If it's a bedroom expansion, will require a variance from the board. We don't have an option with that. It's an upgrade like all the other ones were approved to go from 2 to 3. Will require a brand new system and
So, yeah, the answer is yes. Since it's a new lot, it's restricted to the 1 per 10,000. So, anything would be considered new construction and would require an upgrade. So,
Right, so by our definition, it's not necessarily ripping out an old system, it's new construction, so it actually requires an IA system. Or no, it requires a variance. I'm sorry.
So the proposal is to change the house, and so it's existing 2 bedrooms, whatever they change, they want to go to 3 bedrooms. And that change will trigger new construction requirements, regulations, thereby requiring relief, this variance request from the board. They can't go to 3 bedrooms, just like the previous application, whether it's a house or a vacant lot, doesn't matter. You can't go to 3 bedrooms.
I understand.
Can we have a motion or is everyone feeling?
We're fine with the same deed restriction as well.
And just something.
The GIS.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the drawing, and, I guess I'm not finding it in the pack, I'm not finding lot 3.
oh, this is lot 2.
This is lot 2.
Right, I know, but I'm saying that I found lot 2,
Oh, sorry.
and I thought, because it was the bottom, I thought it was lot 3.
Well, we're not
Lot
worried
1.
about lot 3 yet.
Okay, but just heads up that not seeing. Take a lot 2, go back to lot 2, we had a drawing there. Okay. Yeah, I guess,
They want to rebuild or renovate the house that's there. They want to make it into a 3-bedroom house.
that's not.
And they want an IA system in order to be able to do that. And I think we can give them permission to do that with a deed restriction that it doesn't suddenly become a 5 or a 6-bedroom.
Exactly.
I guess my feeling is, yeah, but knowing that we're going to really try to address this kind of issue with, good information. And there's really kind of nothing here that, there's a level, I have a level of uncomfortableness with it. Because of we keep doing this, but,
Well, we have a moratorium, but we have the
right,
legal
I'm saying is I support
purpose
this.
to have to do these things that we're
Right.
already on our.
Right, we have to act.
To ease your burden too, I can tell you from our workload standpoint, we have no pending applications on unless we're funding the right now. So
Somewhat comfortable.
we won't be back until this issue is resolved on layer.
And so, motion to accept with the 3-bedroom deed restriction for Lover's Lane lot 2.
I'll second that. Malcolm, are you with us?
An uncomfortable yes.
Are you voting yes?
Yes.
Oh,
Uncomfortable.
Sorry,
Oh,
okay.
I'm actually very comfortable, thank you, but
All
I
right.
agree with everything
We got
Carrie
it.
says,
It was
but
yes.
I don't have any information to tell me no. And so therefore I'm going to vote yes. And let's hope that after July, we'll be a little more focused.
Good. Meredith,
No.
Carrie,
Uncomfortable, yes.
and yes. Okay. That's
Thank you.
3-1.
Last one.
Last one, number 3.
So lot 3, Lover's Lane, again. The existing 20,000 square foot lot. They could build a 2-bedroom conventional house. They're looking to build a 3-bedroom house utilizing IA system. with a deed restriction, so only to go to 3 bedrooms. Other than that, it's identical to everything else we talked about and approved tonight.
And for on lot three, what I'm saying is I can't find drawings for lot three.
Here,
I can bring them up on that.
you just have to look at
That's
lot,
lot
that's lot 3. Lot
Oh,
one, and
last one.
lot
Okay.
1 and lot 3 are exactly
Yeah.
the same, and lot 2 is where the house, that the
Yeah.
property was
Yes.
one large property, they subdivided.
Pulled up from last month. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I did.
So the same, I mean, it's the same exact drawing from lot 1. With a house, a pool, a deck, spa, and a future garage.
Okay. So. We do the same thing. Two to three, with deed restriction. Would there be anything that would make it any different?
This is exactly the same word for word as the 2 just approved.
Okay.
But almost within a couple of square feet.
So did lot 4 get a larger
Lot 4,
4 bedroom instead of
lot
3?
4 is a larger lot, and that was already approved.
Yeah,
So
now I'm
that
looking
was
at the thing, it's 29,000, so you
correct.
probably got 4 bedrooms. That's good.
Okay, are we ready to make a motion?
Okay. I'm glad you said such detailed motions. I appreciate that.
You
Wanna do it? You want me to do it?
You can do it.
Okay, I move to approve the variance on Lover's Lane, 38 Lover's Lane Lot 3. Allowing a 3-bedroom because of installing an IA system with a deed restriction to hold at 3. Second, anybody?
Second.
Okay. Malcolm,
Yes,
what, now you're, Meredith, we know,
No,
Carrie,
Uncomfortable, yes.
and yes, all right.
Thank you very much. See
Done.
you in July.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think number 17 is the environmental report.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. share
Madam
my-
Chair. Madam Chair,
Yeah. Yes,
I'm gonna take about a 10-minute break. Let the minute show and I'll tell you when I'm back.
well, okay, you might miss it all. No, I'm
I-
kidding.
Oh, I hope not.
Okay, thanks, Malcolm.
And John, are you able to share my slides?
I hope so. Hold on 1 second. How's that?
I actually cannot see it. Oh, there it goes. Yep.
Okay, they're on there now.
Yep. All right. Thanks, John.
I'm gonna minimize you. Good. Gonna get going to slideshow production here, but
Yeah, it's in PDF format. Maybe just zoom out slightly, but it's almost there.
okay. Oh,
Yep, there you go.
okay. I'll just scroll down.
Perfect. All right. Hi, everyone. Andrew Shapiro, Environmental Contamination Administrator with the Health Department, here to give an update on PFAS and other environmental contamination on the island. John, next slide, please.
I'm sorry, and that still look good, Andrew?
Looks great.
Okay.
Quick agenda. I'm going to talk about a new well regulation implementation update. I'll give an update on our PFAS data, and then I have very brief updates on our TRC and ERG contracts. John, next slide, please. So I've been in this role for about 5 months now, and I've had a chance to look more at the test kits that we regularly provide. And probably a little over a month ago now, me, John, and Rocky met with the Barnstable County Water Quality Laboratory Director to discuss test kits that are offered regularly at our health department. And so, long story short, we are planning to introduce a new promotion of lead testing requirements. Um, and I'll give a little bit more background on why we're doing that. John, next slide, please. So we have been looking at the analytes that are offered in the test kits that are regularly offered at the health department. And I noticed that lead is in our regulations, but it is not included in our routine test kit, nor is it included in our real estate test kit. We spoke with the lab director, and he said that it has never been included in the routine test kit. It's never been included in the real estate test kit. Other communities around the Cape Islands are not regularly requiring lead to be tested, but we believe lead is an important environmental health issue in addition to it being in our regulations. And so we are planning to reinforce that lead is required at property transfer and that it will be paired with the real estate test kit. This is a separate bottle. It's a new sampling method. It is an additional cost, but it is a relatively cheap cost. This is a $20 test, and our health department staff are aware of this. So anytime someone comes into the office and asks for a real estate test kit, they will also be handed a lead test kit. We have also communicated this to the real estate community. Me, John, and Rocky presented to NAREB a couple weeks ago, and we let them know that there is a new requirement to test for lead at property transfer. John, next slide, please. So why do we care about lead? I'm going to skip to the second bullet point here. Lead is naturally occurring in soil to some extent. Lead is also widespread because of leaded gasoline that was used into the 70s. Leaded gasoline was burned and then lead deposited on the ground. So lead is basically a ubiquitous contaminant, unfortunately. Lead was also used in indoor plumbing until 1986. The unique thing about Nantucket is that we have acidic groundwater, which can corrode lead plumbing. And lead, just like PFOA, just like PFOS, has a maximum contaminant level goal of 0. So there's essentially no safe level of lead. And this is why we are requiring lead to be tested at property transfer. John, next slide, please. So lead was not the only parameter that was not included in our test kits, but is included in our regulations. And so we have thought about which parameters we might want to also include. We want to provide reasonable recommendations for what people should be testing. So I looked at each of these contaminants. First one is arsenic. We talked with the lab director in Barnstable County. He said that communities around the Cape and Islands are not regularly testing for arsenic. Arsenic is mostly associated with bedrock aquifers and is not usually detected at high concentrations on Nantucket. Our bedrock in Nantucket is 1,500 feet below the Earth's surface. It's very deep compared to other places, for example, on the mainland of Massachusetts. We also thought about fluoride. This is a septic contaminant. You certainly don't want septic influence in your well, but we have testing parameters that look at that. So we already have nitrate and coliform, which can identify potential septic contamination. And then 2 more aesthetic contaminants, chloride and hardness. Chloride is typically in balance with sodium, which we're already testing for. And hardness, Nantucket actually has soft water, so it's not a huge risk on the island. So we are not going to be encouraging people to test for these. These tests are available though. So if people do want these tested, I'm happy to facilitate that with the lab. Malcolm, I see you have a hand up.
I'm just, for the minutes, I'm back, whatever time it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
6:17.
So long story short is we are newly requiring lead to be tested at property transfer. We are not requiring people to test for these parameters. We can facilitate testing if people are interested though. John, next slide, please. I have a PFAS data update for the Mass DEP source discovery investigation. We don't have any new data. Mass DEP was on island last week to conduct sampling at over 10 properties near the recent imminent hazard detection. I spoke with them the following day and they let me know that they went to 11 properties. Mass DEP was having a hard time getting out to the island. Typically, they take the car ferry, and we're basically unable to get to the island. But, excuse me, they asked if we were able to assist and if they could take the slow ferry and pick them up at the High Line, and we were happy to do that. So we were able to get them out on the island faster than they otherwise would have been. And a big shout out to Will Droheim, our health inspector, who was able to pick them up and drive them around to collect data at 11 different sampling points. Since our last Board of Health meeting and the time that I put this slideshow in the packet, I had 4 new detections below the 20 nanogram per liter Massachusetts state standard from our voluntary testing and our private regulation sampling. Since I submitted this to the packet, we have many more data points. I would guess we have 15 new data points. So far, nothing over the 20 part per trillion standard, but it is a mix of detects and non-detects. I heard from John that on May 20th, there were 34 samples dropped off at the health department, and most of those were PFAS. So we should be getting a lot more PFAS data in the next few weeks. It does take the lab a minimum of 2 weeks to turn around samples, sometimes takes them up to 6 weeks. So we just have to be patient as new data comes in. And at the time I submitted this presentation to the packet, I did not update the summary statistics, the figure, or the map. We had limited new data in addition to this meeting being moved up a week from its typical meeting time. I will have a very large data update for the July Board of Health meeting, so you can expect new statistics, a new figure, a new map, and maybe the DEP data will come in by then too. John, next slide, please. I am holding the TRC contracts here just as a placeholder, really, when we do have updates. As a reminder, TRC is doing PFAS fingerprinting in the Toms Way area, and we also have a data management needs assessment contract with them. One other contract update, Eastern Research Group will be on the island on July 8th to sample for PFAS at about 20 surface water locations.
What does TRC stand for?
That's a great question, and I don't even know. They're an environmental consulting firm.
Okay.
Yeah. John, is that the last slide?
Believe it is. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions from the board or the public?
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, please.
Love that you included the lead because I think that is super important with being an island and having our sole source aquifer and lots of kids. And I'm excited to see all of the new information about the new data points. But I think that it's really great that we're expanding the water testing because I think it's super important. Thank you.
We talk a lot about PFAS. There are other contaminants out there, and lead is ubiquitous, unfortunately, and it's a known neurotoxin. It's been known to be toxic for for millennia, really.
long before PFAS.
Well, I think
Yeah.
a year or so ago, the water company sent out a letter telling people to test their water for lead, and I was new to town water, so I didn't get that letter, but yeah, I think that it confused a lot of people and they weren't sure what to do with it or how to go about doing that. So I think having it here, and putting it out there, and $20 is cheap to get your water tested. So I appreciate that. I think it's super important.
Thank you.
We have had a couple of younger kids, adolescents over the past like 3 months that reported to have high lead levels without any known exposure. So you immediately think about lead-based paint, but these were newer homes. And so, without knowing the true source, could have been from construction that was nearby or old paint that was in there. So this is really a positive step forward on at least eliminating that possibility.
Is the $20 test available just as a standalone or only as part of a package with the real estate package?
Also available as a standalone.
Okay, well, thank you. Good.
And I'll add a comment. If you haven't been into our office and asked for a water kit, she'll tell you what you need.
Okay,
She's got it down pat with the real estate. That's her first question. Is this for a real estate transaction? And
Yes.
she's been, as Andrew pointed out, 34 samples a couple of weeks ago, and the past 2 weeks after that have been 20 or so, I would say at least. So it's
we did 19, and a lot of them had a lot of lead tests in this past one. This past Tuesday had a lot of lead kits in this one. So it's kind of broadened out between PFAS and lead and routine.
so very, very busy on the water sample.
Yes, the presentation to the real estate board, I think, really increased the number of tests that were being requested. So I think the line formed at least one day where there were people outside waiting to test their water, pick up kits or bring it in.
I have just a question. Is when a child tests positive, it gets alerted to the health department? How does that?
There's actually a lead specialist at State Department of Health, so that person is notified. Working with the family, so we will speak with the family as the health department, local health department, in collaboration with the state to determine next steps, and the provider, of course, who did the test.
Yeah.
Finish it. So that's how that's handled.
Thank you.
okay,
Okay.
it's your turn.
Yeah, Rocky Miramontes, Public Health Director. Thank you, Andrew, who continues to do a wonderful job, as does everyone that's at the Health Department, small but mighty staff. So a few things for me. So back in around COVID, 2020, 2021, as some of you may know, there was wastewater sampling for COVID that was being done. That actually continued. It was paid for by the state and is continuing to be paid for by them. And we continue to monitor those results, and we did have a spike right after Memorial Day. And certainly anecdotally, we've heard about people that have had COVID. The newer strain that has been circulating, not necessarily here, but around the United States, has more gastrointestinal type symptoms. So lots of nausea and vomiting and diarrhea, as opposed to what we're typically used to with the body aches and headaches and fever. So along those lines, recently got approval to expand the BioBot testing. So that's the company that does the wastewater sampling. So adding to the COVID will also be flu and RSV and opioids and some of the, I guess, lack of a better word, street level drugs like heroin and street fentanyl. So that's going to be added to. So we'll be able to regularly, evaluate that data on a really week-to-week basis. The tick scientists, one of the tick scientists, there's many on the island who have an interest in ticks, including Dr. Lepre, Tim Lepre. Dr. Telford was on island from Tufts. He's been coming here for 40 years and sampling ticks, and he brought some of his samples in, or his captures in, and he certainly indicated that there were more Lone Star ticks than there had been previously, dozens as opposed to just a few or a dozen. So something on the educational front that we're thinking about. We've been working with him as well as with the tick biologist from Martha's Vineyard, who really comes and works with us as part of a public health excellence grant. So he's coming to the island soon to do some sampling. So really trying to bring a collaborative effort of people that are interested in this topic, and there are others on the island as well, so that we can get the most up-to-date education as well as what we always recommend around prevention, which is really the key. Probably next month, we're in the process of evaluating the department fees. So the departmental fees for the reviews of permits. There's a number of things, and they've been presented and have to be approved by the board. So we're evaluating those now. We'll be bringing those to the board. They are really based on really the amount of work that goes into evaluating these. So certainly not wanting to make a profit, but ensuring that we are offsetting really the time spent to evaluate these permits and other items associated with that in the health department. Beach sampling has begun. They were out, I think, this morning. So we typically do all summer. I think they give 8 weeks, I believe, is the number around that. 11 weeks. Yeah. Go out every week to test beach water sampling. Now that also happens at the natural resources department level, where they test the ponds. They're primarily looking for cyanobacteria, which causes algal blooms. We are looking for enteric diseases. That's what the state tests for. So E. coli and the types of things that make people sick, and would be a reason to stay out of the water, certainly at the beaches.
This all public beaches are, selected.
There's a number of them. I mean, it's the same ones that we've done from year to year, and those are all on the state website, and we're reported for everybody to see. Certainly, if there's a beach closure that occurs, we have to go back and retest the next day. Until we get to a point where it's not safe to swim. Let's have signs that we put out. The signs are new, if that should occur, and the Natural Resources Department does the same. There's some changes regarding recommendations around COVID vaccine. The only one that I've seen the CDC has actually put on their website right now is they're recommending for for children 6 months to 17 years, that be a shared clinical decision-making process with the parent and a provider. So if a parent were to show up requesting COVID vaccine for their child, they would then communicate with the physician and have that discussion as to what was needed, and that's regardless of any immunocompromised children. So it's the same discussion for all children. And certainly in the news, there's been reports of other, I guess, proposals, but none of those have been made their way to the CDC website, and that is really what we're referring to right now. More good news, I guess, on the good news front. Jake just passed his CPFS food certification test, and so that is like the highest level, I think, of food certification in the state. Heather passed it, I think, about a month or two ago. So very proud of the work that they are doing, and kudos to Jake. I think that's all I have.
Oh, can I ask?
Sure.
That I would, or comment, I guess, the tick stuff. I anecdotally have pulled off more ticks and seen more Lyme disease in the last 2 to 3 weeks just at school than I have any year this time of year, including my own daughter, who was the first one in my family to ever have Lyme disease, despite having grown up here. So, I do think, I would love to see if the town would be open to doing some kind of a campaign, be it social media, in the newspaper, but really on the boats, putting it out there, because, I'm seeing Lone Star ticks, I'm seeing regular deer ticks, and I think parents, from my perspective, it's a lot of parents and talking to them about what you can do and what, can they take the 2-doxycycline or a dose of doxycycline? And for adults, can you get the 2-doxycycline, and going to an urgent care and just making people aware of the signs and symptoms? I think it is worse than I have seen it in a few years.
That is all planned, and thank you for that, but we felt it needed to be, there's so many people that are paying attention to this that we want to make sure that we collaborate with everybody that's interested in doing work in this area. If there's data out there that there are Lone Star ticks on this trail, we want to be able to talk to the land bank or conservation, see if they'd be willing to put up signs, just a reminder with, when we're talking about the QR codes and being able to punch your phone, and this is what you need to be looking out for, and this is what you do if you develop these symptoms. So really, when they're out there in the community, being able to remind them that this is a good idea.
I think that's important. I've been hearing, and I don't work with children or anything, exactly from just adults, that they've never pulled so many ticks off of themselves before. So I think what I would say here is that a lot of people are kind of, it's the same old, we've been hearing this for years and years. Maybe we need to amplify it a little bit and say, hey, guys, it's worse than ever. It's worse than usual. Be really careful, watch out, and all the precautions that we, because it seems, I don't know that we have evidence for it, but so many people are talking about it.
Well, and I think the Lone Star is going to give you some different diseases that we
Yes.
haven't seen a lot
Yeah.
here, and also just education about alpha gal,
Well, that's
red
gonna
meat.
mess up your life forever.
Right. But I do think it is, when a lot of people find a tick, it is a frightening experience. And so some education of like, okay, here's some things you can do. 2-doxycycline, you could, wait and see if you get the rash, getting treated. If you start to because not everyone gets a rash. I think my father said not every tick reads the manual. So, if you don't get the rash, but you're starting to feel really bad, there's no such thing as the summer flu.
Yeah.
So going and getting, because with babesia and anaplasma, people get really, really
Yes.
sick and need to sometimes be sent other places from our good friends at MedFlight. So.
All true, and we have had a special request for an alpha gal type of presentation, so we're planning that with the people that are coming up from Dukes
Okay.
County.
Great. Malcolm has had his hand up for a bit. Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. I mean, I actually enjoy this part of our meetings better than
I know. Yeah.
this here. I feel like we're really talking about public health, but that's just my opinion. I think I'm going to talk to my select colleagues of maybe having Rocky speak at some of our meetings more often about what we're actually doing about public health and everything else we talked about. So I have this strange email note about the state is going to change the hunting regulations, and no one really talked to us about it.
Yes, yes, the hunting regulation, the hunting season was expanded. That's actually been published in the state code to January. It will now run also in January 1st to January 31st. It's going to be primitive. So The bows and arrows and it's the single shot that you have to reload every time. I forget what it's called, single shot.
Muzzle loading.
Yeah, muzzle loading, yes. So it'll be limited to that. Lots of considerations, and a lot of housing that people use during hunting season. It may be shut down in January, so being able to get that out. So what we have asked Malcolm specifically is for the deer and tick biologist who really kind of from the state who really spearheaded this expansion of the hunting season to speak to the select board about the rollout, how information will be distributed to the community. Our interest is working with them, that state deer and moose biologist on the use of a commercial kitchen to support the state program, and I'm going to get the name wrong. Hunters for the Harvest, I believe it's called. So it's a way to take some of the deer meat and distribute it to those in need. And that's something that happened last year. We want to make sure that happens safely in conjunction with the use of the commercial kitchen. So we've had meetings with them as little as a couple of days ago about how that might happen. So all this is going to occur. But Malcolm, I guess to answer your question, yes, this happened, and there should be an update provided to the select board on the rollout very soon.
That would be great because one of the first approvals for a commercial kitchen to distribute deer meat was on Nantucket, so we should go back to that.
Yes, that program will continue.
Good.
Right. Anybody else? Can I have a motion to adjourn? Yes.
I'll second.
Second, yeah. Malcolm, I'm sure you're in favor.
I would rather spend the next hour listening to Rocky about what the health department is doing
Well, that's right.
instead
maybe-
of dealing with other stuff that we're forced to deal with. But yes, fine, I'll second that.
Okay,
All in favor?
all in favor, Malcolm, yes?
Yes.
Mary?
Yeah.
Very yes.
And yes, okay, wonderful. At 39.
Yeah.
Hi, Malcolm.
How are you all?
Yeah, all done.
Is Malcolm not gonna